What's up, y'all? This is your girl, Namia Carnice, with another edition of She is Namia's High Heels and Lipstick Conversations, where we have topics for the mature woman, the grown-ass woman, the seasoned woman, from every walk of life. We aim to uplift, empower, educate, and encourage the woman within, mind, body, and spirit. So let's get to it, y'all. It's High Heels and Lipstick Conversations with your girl, Namia. Come on and tap in. Hey, what is up, people? What is up, people? Listen, come on in the room. You hear me say that every time I come before you. Come on in the room. Let me get myself together. Make sure I can tap in, see who's all joining me, and see who's chatting with me on this evening. So come on in. Listen, I know it's been a while. It's been a minute since I have been before you, and we're going to talk about that. Listen, if you are drinking wine, get your glass of wine, because I got some shit to say tonight. I'm gonna talk about some stuff that's interesting to me that may be interesting to you. So as you always do when you enter the room, you know I asked you to either lift your glass or let me know that you're here by putting some kissy lips, some some lipstick, some high heels in the chat. Let me know that you are checking in. Or if you're a brother checking in and you don't want to do that foo-foo, she, feminine stuff, just put a fist up in the air, arm. Just let me know you're here. I want to know who's checking in with me on this evening. Okay, Michelle. Michelle says, I will be right back. Okay, I'll see you when you get back, Sorrel. Thank you for checking in, Denise. It is so good to see you on this evening, sis. Such a big support, such an encourager. Sometimes you just be needing people to encourage you. It don't always have to be up front, out loud. And sometimes you just have people that encourage you behind the scenes to tell you that, I see you, sis. I'm digging your vibe or whatever. And so my sister Denise is one of those young ladies who, she is an encourager for me, as am I. So to her. So thank you for checking in. I appreciate it on this evening. So come on in. So yes. It's been a minute since I've been before you. Listen, let me start here, because I always I have to give my disclaimers and do my whole little, opening bit and all that. If this is your first time checking in, you just so happen to see the broadcast, I ain't got thousands of fans or followers or people that check in, or I ain't viral, I ain't doing none of that. But every so often I will see comments, I will see likes, I will see that people who probably have never visited She is Namia, don't know what High Heels and Lipstick Conversation is all about. Sometimes I see people that I don't know. When you have a public page, an open page or whatever, you get people that like, subscribe, follow, what have you. You may not have ever met them before in life, but you have said something, shared something, vibe with somebody, and they follow you. So sometimes there's people who check in that I don't know who they are, where they come from, or whatever like that. So if you are for the first time checking in with High Heels and Lipstick Conversations, let me just tell you what we are about so you can know, so I can break it down so it can forever be broke. Okay. Um, it is conversation. High Heels and Lipstick Conversation is, simply put, just conversation. And listen, I don't know if I've ever shared this. Maybe I have. I'm sure I have at some point. I am a woman who I consider myself, that got some wisdom, been through some things, learned some stuff, been through some shit, healed, grew from it. So that being the case, I'm not 20, 30 years old. I'm well into my 40s. And so that's my demographic of people that I talk to. No diss, no shade against younger people, but I'm from Generation X, okay? Generation X is called the forgotten generation. You always hear a lot of talk about baby boomers who are our mothers, our grandmothers, and now you hear about the millennials. Sometimes we lump Generation Y, who are the millennials, and Generation Z, who are now coming up in the workforce. I'm talking HR shit now, but we often lump them all together as millennials, but those are actually two separate generations. So we always hear about those generations, but we often don't hear about our generation, the shit that we like to talk about. We're not young whippersnappers no more. We're called Generation X. We the folks that born in the 60s, the 70s, was kids in the 80s, and grew up in the 90s. That's our era, Generation X folks. Okay, and so that's who my audience is. That's who the topics that I talk about, the things that I talk about. That's who I hope to be reaching, the Generation X, the forgotten generation. They forget about us. We the first ones that were latchkey kids. We were the ones that stayed at home while mama, my daddy, and worked all day and told you better not open the door for nobody. We're the ones that when we had little brothers and sisters, we was in the kitchen cooking because daddy was at work and we had to take care of home until they got home. We're the generation that grew up on true bona fide hip hop, the inception, the beginning of hip hop. We're that generation, right? The generation that before the viruses and the pandemics and all that ushered in, and before remote controls, and we had to go and turn the television, and before we had cable, when the TV went off at night, just all that. So that is the group of people that I am mostly, speaking to, talking about things that are relevant to us. Of course, it's called High Heels and Lipstick Conversations for a reason, because I'm into grown ass conversations. Okay. I'm a Black woman, so I wear high heels and lipstick. And so it's about grown ass women conversation. We don't forget our brothers. We're not remiss to leave our brothers out or anything like that. But that's is what it is. And so the hope for me is that when you enter these conversations, that they'll always be real, that'll always be relevant, real grown, real sexy, real classy, real bossy, real ladylike. But you're always going to hopefully leave away having gained something from these conversations. So listen, as I said all of that, I say all that to say that the thoughts and opinions expressed on tonight, they're my own. They're my own feelings, my own thoughts, my own opinions. I'm not here representing any entity. I ain't representing where I work. I'm not representing any organizations that I'm affiliated with or a part of. This is all she is, Namia, powered by Namia Carnice Empower Her LLC. So listen, it's just me. It's just me dialoguing. So that is what it is. High Heels and Lipstick Conversation. Listen, I haven't been before you for a minute, probably like a month and a half, probably going into 2 months. Just because sometimes when God tells you to slow down, you got to slow down. And I am one of those persons that and my cousin said it best. Your idea of resting is doing 20 things as opposed to 50 things. And so sometimes God just calls you to just go into rest mode, for real rest mode. And so that's where I've been. Just resting. I have done some traveling. I have done some getting out and kicking it with my girls. So yes, I have done that, but that was a part of me resting. And then just, dealing with just shit that kind of comes up. Bronchitis. I hadn't dealt with bronchitis. I was stricken with bronchitis for 2 weeks, and I had some sciatic nerve pain and some, blood pressure issues and all that. So it just caused me to take a pause, step back from podcasts and doing any of this, and just chill for a while, because life is demanding. At the end of the day, I'm a career woman, I'm a wife, I'm a mom in love. So I'm all of these different things. So when all of those, different strings pull at you, sometimes you can overwhelm your body, and it comes out in how your sickness. So different things. So I took a step back. Thank you, Missy. Hey, Cuddy. She said, I'm glad you're back. Thank you. But I'm gonna listen to my body more often and listen to God more often. When it's time to take a rest, it's time to take a rest. So there you have it. That's where I've been. We'll talk more about, fall back season. I feel like this is the fall back season. So I'm gonna talk a little bit more about that at the end. But let's go into some conversation. Let's just go ahead and jump some conversation. And I want to start with some trending topics. Okay, so first, I want to talk about this. Some of this stuff is probably going to be, if you social media trending topics come up on social media, some of this is probably to you. Social media moves so fast. Every day is something new that's trending out there. So some of this is probably going to be me dating myself, that I ain't been glued in. I haven't come before you in a while. Hey, Cheryl, what's up? Hey, my sister, my Pisces sister. How are you? Thank you for checking in on this evening. So listen, I told you the Generation X, we are the forgotten generation. But one thing that I mentioned is that we grew up on hip hop. Okay. So it is no secret, if you are a personal friend of mine, if you know me on any level, you know that I am into hip hop, particularly 90s hip hop. So, one of my people that I say is on my my hip hop Mount Rushmore is Nas. And so it was trending for a while that 21 Savage, which if you don't know who 21 Savage is because you're from Generation X and you don't know all the new hip hop artists or whatever, then I need you to know who 21 Savage is. He's one of the new, one hip hop artist. And he recently said something to the fact, that Nas has dropped a King Disease 3 that came out, and he is hit the billboards. It's a really nice album. It's an album that I have been rocking to since it dropped, I think on like November 11th, somewhere in there. And when he came out, 21 Savage indicated that Nas was no longer relevant. Okay. And he said it on Clubhouse. I know a lot of you are familiar with Clubhouse. Clubhouse is the app where you go on and it's, all these lectures and talk. It's more like podcasty. And so sometimes you get, celebrities that are on Clubhouse. Well, 21 Savage himself made an assertion that Nas was irrelevant. Of course, that sent social media in a frenzy. And for a while, Nas did not respond to that, indicating that he was irrelevant. for whatever reason, this younger generation always assumes that because when we reach the age of 40, we're no longer relevant. And in the today's music is all about the streams, right? So the more streams you get, the more followers you get, the more likes you get, the more loves you get. This younger generation feels that that's what makes them relevant. And so because Nas probably doesn't have as many streams or as followers as 21 Savage, because he's from in the younger age bracket of music, he was called irrelevant. That pissed a lot of people off. Okay. But I like where how Nas handled it. I like his growth. It shows you that he is a grown ass man, because he has done a song with 21 Savage that actually just dropped on today. Okay. Yes, fighting words, Melissa. My Missy said that's fighting words. You say Nas, he on my Mount Rushmore, you say that he is irrelevant, that is fighting words. In my thoughts, Nas has paved the way for folks like 21 Savage. But this is just how classy Nas is, okay? He did a song. He reached out to this young brother in response to him saying that he was irrelevant, and they have teamed up and done a new song that dropped today called One Mic, One Gun. Okay. It's a decent cut. I listened to it. I heard it today. You know, and I think in the world of social media where there is so much back and forth and vitriol and hatred and people just going back and forth, because this is what this generation has grew up on social media. I think it was a really classy way for him to respond. I can imagine he reached out to the young brother and was like, I heard what you said, whatever, what woo woo woo. And where much of social media wanted to pit the two black men against one another, Nas being the grown man in the situation, the one that is the elder of the two, handled it in such a way that I think was very classy, which shows you that he is relevant. Not only that, he done made the billboards. So, he's not that irrelevant. He made the billboards. King Disease 3, this album that he dropped, has no features. It's all him. So he obviously is, still relevant. So shout out to Real Hip Hop. Shout out to Nas, who's on my Mount Rushmore. We'll talk about hip hop more in depth at some other time. My love and all things hip hop on a future show. But shout out to Nas. Shout out to the Generation X. Shout out to us. We have grown. We have wisdom now, and that is an example of how we just should, handle what potentially could be bickering and arguing, and what the world would love no more than to see is two black folks arguing, two black men at each other. Nas handled it in a classy way. So shout out to Nas for that. Okay. I think it's wonderful. I think it's cool. Okay. Okay. Next topic. So listen, sometimes when I will go through my memories on social media just to take a look back at where I was a year ago, 2 years ago, 5 years ago, whatever. You know how you can go on Facebook and they show you what you posted, who all commented. So one particular topic a year ago, yesterday, struck a nerve for a lot of people. I don't know why it is that when you post these kind of topics, it always turns into a black man versus black woman debacle, and we're always going at each other's heads. But often these kind of topics, they ruffle feathers. So the topic, and so I wasn't the originator of the post. Let me just say that I reposted. Obviously, some young man, it came across my timelines something, somebody posted it, shared it or whatever, but it came across my timeline, and so I reposted it and added my own commentary to it. So this was the post. Okay. This young man, whoever he is, 25, 285 Slim at Slim Heroics. He says telling women that they're going to be single for life or won't have a family just don't hit like it used to. These women don't care, LOL. Okay. My commentary that I had added to that last year was that, people need to understand this about, and I'm paraphrasing, but people need to understand this about women today. Okay. They are not validating themselves by their ability to go and get married and have kids. It's not the same that it was 50, 60 years ago, where a woman's survival, this is me adding to the commentary, but it's not the same as it was 50, 60 years ago, where a woman needed to, the only way for her to survive was to get married. Okay. Times have changed, has evolved. Going back to talking about generation, y'all tell me what y'all think. Tell me in the comments. Some of y'all commented and had some comments to say. You may have seen the post that I made. Let me put it back up there. This was the post that I reshared. That telling a woman that they're going to be single for life or won't have a family just don't hit like it used to. These women don't care. My specific purpose behind sharing it was just to say that it's an ineffective scare tactic these days. Okay. Again, it's not 50, 60 years ago where we as women had to get married to survive. A lot of men don't like to hear you say this, men specifically who try to combat, the topic. Um, we don't care about your degrees and you starting a business and all that. And they don't, ladies. That's not an important factor for a lot of men when they're considering marrying you. But the fact that so many women are taking care of themselves, they're making good money, they're educated, they're in the workforce. There are so many factors that add to the reasoning why a lot of young women, especially in the younger generation, a lot of young women are not making marriage a priority. Okay. One of the things that I shared very poignantly on that post was we would do well by listening to the younger generation of women and finding out what they think about marriage and dating and relationships, and then asking the question as to why they feel the way that they feel. It ruffles a lot of feathers, especially men, because they get caught up in hearing the words that women ain't concerned about marriage. And so the first jump defense that I hear a lot of men say, and even on the post when I reshared it, there were some comments from some brothers who stated things like, well, wait till she get 40 years old and her prospects, she's, pretty much as she ages and the ability to marriage, the possibility of marriage significantly drops because she's reaching the non-kid bearing age, or she's older, or they assume that she just been out here screwing this one, screwing that one for the first 40 years of her life, and now she's ready to get married and she can't find nobody. They use those same lines of thinking that I said that are just no longer effective, and is especially not effective for this younger population of women. I'm not even talking about our age group, the Generation X, okay? We're the last of what I would consider, what I have obviously often termed the old school. We're old school now. We OGs to a lot of this younger generation, okay? We the ones that they call aunties and uncles. Some of us don't want to admit that we are auntie, okay? I got some friends, some girls, some of my GGs that don't want to admit that they're auntie. But this younger generation, they look at us as aunties and uncles, okay? Not only do that, but they saw a lot of toxic shit that we went through as it relates to marriages. They saw a lot of toxic family trauma as it relates to marriages from their grandmothers, their mothers. Okay. And so they have entered into a space where marriage is just not at the top of their priority at 20, 21 years old, 23 years old, 24 years old. And I shared this article a while back that younger generations are waiting much longer to even get married. Okay. They're getting their education, they're starting businesses, they're taking up trade, they're doing all of these different things before they even consider marriage. And that's not just women. That statistics will show that the same is relevant for Black men too. They're waiting longer to get married. We as Generation Xers, we learned from our mothers and fathers, baby boomers, veterans, who taught us you graduate school, you high school, yeah, you go to college, but then the next step is marriage. This younger generation, the millennials, even the Generation Zers, let me clarify, they're not doing that. They don't care about that shit. They want to live their best life. So, the people get hung up on, well, living their best life. What does living your best life mean? It doesn't mean that people are choosing to be out here reckless, okay, or giving their bodies up or just screwing this one and that one. Living their best life could mean a number of things. They're getting their education, they're starting businesses. Can I tell you, we live in a generation, this younger generation, of people are the most entrepreneurial in spirit that I have ever seen. There was a case, I can't even think, I don't want to say the wrong thing, but there was even a case last year where the graduates of this one historically Black colleges were granted all LLCs as a graduation gift from one of the billionaires. I can't think, my mind sometimes. So don't quote me on who the person was or what the HBCU was, but they were granted all LLCs, paperwork to start their own businesses. So I say all that to say that we have to think and evolve with this younger generation because they on some other shit. They're not doing what we did. They're not being tied down to marriages, or bad marriages for that matter, for 15, 20 years. They're not getting married out the gate. So all you old men who looking for a young thing, a lot of them think you're gross and you're nasty. They're not looking to just get swooped up and get married just because you come to them, because you hold the keys to marriage and you come to a young lady and say, I want to marry you. That's not on the forefront of their mind. They were raised differently. They were raised by social media, okay? And they saw bad examples from us as the former generation, okay? Arlena says true. It's true. Men also, they're not getting married. Younger men in the younger generation, they're not getting married as quickly. So for us who have been raised by old school values, i.e., our mothers and fathers who are from the baby boomers, our grandparents who are from the veteran generation, we would do well to observe them, to learn from them, and to ask them why. I have had conversations with my daughter-in-law and her friends. And I'm not going to share everything that they have shared. I'm going to save that for one of our future podcasts when I have them on as guests. But they have some reasoning as to why they feel the way that they feel. And so we can condemn them, or we can look at ourselves and blame that we show them bad examples, or were we conditioned differently. A lot of them even have bad views about marriage. Now, I tend to think that it's sad that some people have views the way that they have of marriage, because marriage can be a beautiful thing. But we don't need to necessarily condemn them because they're not up and jumping and running to graduate high school and get married and have kids and babies and all that. Before they're 30. That's just not the the reality for them, and there's some reasons why. So we would do well to ask them why. Okay. So that's all I'm going to talk about that. Yeah, but go view the post. Go view the original post. I posted it on my personal page if you have access to my personal page. And sometimes that topic rattles some feelings. It rattles some feathers, especially men. I don't know why, but you know they don't like to hear that it's not a scare tactic, that you cannot scare women into thinking if she doesn't get married by a certain age, she doesn't have kids by a certain age, that once she reaches a certain age, she's no more use, she's no more good, and all of that other jargon. So anyway, that's all I gotta say. That's all I gotta say about trending topics. So listen, let's get into some dialogue, because tonight I really want to talk about um, you know um, the focus of tonight, and that is rules that I think that every Black woman should live by. And what prompted this for me is I know that everybody has been in tune, has been, you know, caught up reviewing, everybody's commentary. There's so much that's out there on social media about the Shanquilla Robinson story. Okay. If you don't know the Shanquilla Robinson story, then you have been under a rock somewhere. But obviously, Shanquilla is the young lady who was unfortunately murdered, who lost her life. Her and some, I'm not going to even call them friends, but frenemies, went over to Cabo. They went on a Friday to Cabo. By Saturday, Shanquilla was dead. And her frenemies were back on a plane to the United States on Sunday and left her body there and returned to the United States. They gave this story to the parents that she had died of alcohol poisoning. Um, Come to find out, after an autopsy, she had a broken neck, spinal cord injuries. It's just so much surrounding this story, and every day there seems to be something that comes out more about the story. Yes, very, very sad, Arlena. Um, More recently, just in the last couple of days, there has been some updates that one of the friends, and let me just show you all of it. They're being affectionately named the Cabo Six now. Okay. So one of the friends, um, Dejanay Jackson, and she is the friend that is in this video that has gone massively viral, of her beating, attacking, brutally attacking Shanquilla, who was naked at the time, who was defenseless at the time, and didn't seem to be 100% coherent at the time. She has been extradited to Mexico. It is alleged that an arrest has been made. I'm pretty sure if arrest has not been made, I'm sure she's been extradited, and she is singing like a bird right now. Nobody else has been, it has been reported, has been arrested or extradited to Mexico, just Dejanay Jackson. And I'm going to use the word alleged a lot because you can get in trouble if you say things and say them as if they're facts, and they're not facts. So I'm just going to say alleged. But right now it is alleged that Dejanay Jackson is in custody. It's also been alleged that the rest of the friends, the frenemies, are missing. I don't know how true that is. If not, I'm sure it won't be long before they're found. It is also alleged that there is another video of the friend Winter Donovan that is in possession of authorities, and this video is supposedly showing that she is the one that delivered the death blow. So she was also an attacker. For whatever reason, that video was not released. The friend or the frenemy that released the video of Dejanay Jackson that has gone viral and everybody has seen it by now, I'm not going to show it, but was this young lady that you see on the screen, Elise Hyatt. She supposedly, allegedly was terrified once all of this happened. And so she leaked the video. And that's how the video of Dejanay Jackson brutally attacking Shanquilla came to be and went viral. But it is alleged that Winter is actually the one that she was another attacker. There is another video, and she was actually the one to deliver the the um, the fractured, spinal cord and broken neck, and that is what ultimately killed her. So, again, the video shows her naked. It shows her defenseless. It's also alleged that these friends, when they left her there in the villa or this Airbnb that they had, that there was money taken from Shaquilla. They checked out and they were reimbursed money, and they took that money that was reimbursed, left Shaquilla in the villa or the Airbnb, and they took the money. Shanquilla supposedly is the one, because we know her to be all of the stories, her background. We know her to be a woman that was successful. She did braids. She had a boutique. She was a young, 25, 26-year-old young woman, and she was doing her thing. She was a woman that was about her ish. Again, this younger generation, they're very entrepreneurial. Shanquilla was an entrepreneur. She had several businesses and she was making money. Okay. These frenemies that went to Cabo with her, it is alleged that she was the one that paid for the Airbnb that they were staying in. So she was the financer of this trip because she had money. Okay. They lied to her mother about her dying from alcohol poisoning. Even one of the other friends, Nazir, jumped on an IG live. You can go find it and look it up. He's giving his side of the story, detailing on when he got to Cabo. He didn't know any of this, that went down. He was innocent, just pretty much pleading his case. And so, again, there is just so much out there about this case. There are so many, I call them hood investigators. They detail timelines. They're putting together and weaving together the story. But the important piece of it is that one of the friends, the Dejanay Jackson, has been extradited to Mexico and arrested. So listen, this story really touched me. It was very sad. The one thing that I can say, when you heard me talking about the younger generation, the one thing that I can say that about this younger generation is they will make some shit shake because of social media, because they grew up on social media. That's all they know. Again, the more likes you have, the more followers you have, your ability to go viral, that makes you relevant in this younger generation because they grew up on social media. That's all they know. Okay. So we can't fault them for that because that's all they know. They know technology. Even in the post that I was mentioning, one of my Facebook friends says that she's very scared for this younger generation because technology is like their God. Okay. And so, but the one thing that I will say is they utilize social media in a way that they can bring a highlight and promotion to certain issues. This incident happened a whole month ago. We didn't start hearing about Shanquilla and this whole scenario until right before Thanksgiving. If it had not been for social media highlighting this and the video going viral, we would have never known. Actually, I think the first reporter to break the news was some young man in North Carolina, because that's where this group is from, on some platform called NC Beats, and he was the one to highlight and share that video of Shanquilla being beaten. And the next thing you know, it takes off and it's viral. Again, this is a young man from a younger generation who spotlighted this story, and then it went viral. So they are good for doing that and bringing, a spotlight to issues. for this. And you're right, Denise. All of them played a part, whether they knew something and didn't tell, to contributing to her death. They all played a part, in my opinion. They did. That's why I call them frenemies. So, of course, this story, for so many, I wasn't the only one. Really just kind of tugged at my heartstrings, and it caused me to think about this younger generation either doesn't know, doesn't go by what we call the girl code. Okay, the girl code. And if y'all know, like I know, we got the girl code. And so, what I wanted to just talk about for the next few minutes, I ain't gonna be before you long, is 11 rules that every Black woman should know, especially, particularly, when it comes to friendships. Y'all let me know if I'm telling the truth. If you have some rules that you go by, you and your friends, let me know. Chime in. I want to hear you talk to me. I want to hear your thoughts and hear what you have to say. But um, every set of friends should go by some of these unwritten, unspoken rules when it comes to friendships. Some of these rules that I'm going to share are just those that either me and my group of girls go by, or that I know to be true, or even specifically to this whole Shanquilla case. Arlena said, that's it, girl code. They don't have that at all. Listen, with my daughter in love, I have sat down and I have had conversations with her and her friends and just saying, listen, this is the girl code. When you and your friends go out, you hang out, these are the rules that you're supposed to adhere to when it comes to your girls and your friends. So, listen, I just want to share some of these girl code rules. I'm going to add some in there that may not be specific to friendships. They could, or the Shanquilla Robinson case. But these are just rules that at my age, your girl codes could evolve, but at my age, what I have learned as it relates to friendships and what could have probably even helped the young lady Shanquilla. So the first one I want to share here, y'all let me know what you think. Talk back to me, let me know what you think. But pay attention to the red flags. You got to pay attention to red flags. Listen, discernment is so important with your friendships. It is something that, of course, as you grow, you get a little older, you get a little wise. Your discernment is heightened. But even though I have always had a sense of discernment, I haven't always paid attention to the red flags. I have more often than not, especially in my younger years, allowed them damn red flags to skate by me. Okay. And when I say the red flags, I'm talking about anytime you detect jealousy, hate, envy, that friend that's always want to compete with you, friends that it is hard to celebrate your successes. You gotta believe that shit. When you see the red flags, you gotta believe what you see. Missy says, if you think you don't have discernment, pray for it. God will reveal things to you. Yes, He will reveal things to you. Sometimes you gotta prepare yourself. If you ask God for discernment, give you discernment, and make sure you are thinking clearly, you're hearing clearly, show you what you need to know, especially about the people around you. Sometimes you got to prepare yourself for that. Okay. But it is so important to pay attention to the red flags. Again, I didn't always do a good job of that. So shady comments or sly comments, or sly comments, shady comments wrapped up in a laugh, a hee hee ha. I didn't always do a good job of I don't say I don't want to always say that I ever missed it, because I think God has always given me a certain wisdom and insight to see things, but I haven't always addressed it, or I haven't always responded. And when I say respond, you don't always got to respond with um, vitriol. You don't always got to make noise. You don't always got to go tit for tat. You don't always got to return bad energy. Sometimes paying attention to the red flags is just acknowledging that is there, taking note, and moving around a person accordingly. Okay. Cheryl says I was late realizing it. Yeah, I was late realizing it too, sis. Like, and I just think back on friends over the years, my college years, different remarks that would be said or different behaviors. And I'm thinking that was a red flag that I should have paid attention to all along. So just imagine if this young lady, Shanquilla, and I don't know, we don't know the whole story. Wait a minute, let me wet my whistle. But we don't know the whole story. We don't know everything that happened in that villa, that Airbnb. We don't know how they all came about to come to Mexico. I know they were celebrating somebody's birthday, but we don't know their history fully as friends. But just think if Shanquilla would have paid attention to the red flags, and I'm sure there were many, to get beat like that, and all of the things they did to be left merciless in a villa, in an Airbnb, left to die, and all of that. There was some red flags. So listen, pay attention to the red flags. I am at the age right now in my life. I pay attention to the red flags. I'm not going to always make a hoopla about it, but I'm definitely going to move accordingly. And so I think we got to move accordingly. Okay. Arlena says, well, like you say, blocking out the red flags. Yeah, you can't block out those red flags. I don't block out the red flags anymore. I trust my gut, and I trust God when He's showing me something. Okay. So, okay, that's rule number one. Remember, these are rules. All friends, all Black women should abide by. Yes, Mickey says the red flags are always there. Sometimes we are blinded. We are. We do. Sometimes in the spirit of friendship, and not wanting to ruffle feathers or whatever, we ignore them. We're blinded by them. We don't want to believe them. I would say more than anything in my younger years, I didn't want to believe certain red flags that I saw. But you got to pay attention to that shit. Okay. So rule 2, because I don't want to belabor us long. No sister left behind. So this is maybe not necessarily significant, and then it is to the Shanquilla story, but I know for us, we have always had this girl code, that if we came together, we leaving together. Or if I know one of my girlfriends has had a little bit too much to intake, that's the one we're gonna watch over for the rest of the night to make sure um, you know, that she doesn't get into any trouble, or that she's on the up and there. We might probably tell her, go sit your ass in the corner. No, you sit here for the rest of the night, or whatever. But we're not gonna let her go off with a guy if she didn't come with him. So no sister left behind. Um, Darian said we want to give people a chance. We do. And I'm sorry, I'm trying to check my comments and see if I have comments. I'm checking both pages. So some comments come through, y'all, and some comments not. So if you are making a comment, or you see a comment, or a comment that is, can add value to the conversation, definitely share it. And if I see it, I'll highlight it, or I'll read it out. But some of them, for whatever reason, Facebook be doing their own thing. sometime. I can't always see the comments that come through, but I'm definitely trying to check. So some I'll see and some I won't. So if I didn't see yours, I apologize. But yes, it's about protecting. It's about protecting each other. And yes, sometimes we do want to give people a chance, but no sister left behind when we together. Okay. We came together, we leaving together. Now listen, again, I didn't have these same kind of conversations with my daughter in love, with her and her friends, because these are things that they need to know. There are so many cases of young women. We even had a case not too long ago in Northwest Indiana where some young lady, she left the house, she was inebriated, she was with some friends, the friends let her leave inebriated, and next thing you know, after weeks, after speculation, mystery, hearsay, her body was found in a ditch because the car had ran off the road, and she supposedly had left with a guy. You know, there was so much surrounding that particular case. But yes, we got to protect one another. And if we together, no sister left behind. You know, no ma'am. He may look good, but you cannot go with Sir Mr. So and so tonight. You going home because you didn't have too much to drink. So no sister left behind. Okay. Again, I've had the same conversations with my daughter-in-law. If you got nieces, if you got daughters, if you got um younger sisters, whatever, these are kind of conversations that we as um you know women who have been through some experiences, we should be sharing with our ladies. Okay, so no sister left behind. Don't accept random drinks. Listen, we need to be sharing this with our young ladies. Okay, there, especially now, okay, in the age of sex trafficking, it is really bad in certain portions of the country. It is really bad in the Northwest Indiana, Chicago. There is there is a kind of like a little route, Ohio, Detroit, St. Louis, Indianapolis, Indiana, a sex trafficking ring. It is very real. It is very dangerous. The tricks and the schemes to sex traffic young ladies has grew. They're using all kinds of methods, whether it's putting something on your car, and you walk up and you think somebody left a letter, and you open it and it has a powdery substance, or they put a rose on your car and you sniff the rose and you automatically are knocked out by some drugs that they have planted there. They're just all kind of schemes. We live in a sick world, y'all. Okay, so there's all kinds of things that people who are sick and demented are doing in this sex trafficking, stealing folks. And it ain't just young folks, okay? Some women our age and got caught up. Sometimes you got to be careful when you walk in Walmart if a strange person is following you. It's just bad out here, y'all. Okay, the devil is busy, and it's bad out here. And so I have shared with young ladies, don't accept random drinks. You buy your own damn drink. If you go to the club and you ain't got no money to buy drinks, you shouldn't be there. Don't accept a random drink. The bartender come to you and tell you so and so bought your drink, or some guy come up to you, hand you a drink. Hey, I saw you from across the room. I want to give you a drink. Don't accept that damn drink. You buy your own drink. Okay. Missy says, or leave them unattended. I learned the hard way. Praise God, he wasn't successful. Yes. Yes. Listen. You walk away from your drink, leaving it unattended, and you come back and it don't look the same or don't taste the same. People are doing all kind of things these days. And so one thing that I share, don't accept random drinks. Buy your own drinks. You don't need nobody to buy your drink. And don't allow brother, if they do want to offer you a drink, you best believe you better see it being made at the time that it's being made. But just don't accept a drink that's just been given to you. Okay. You would think you wouldn't have to share these things, but you have to share the things, especially with our younger generations. I won't say that they're naive, they just don't know. Okay. Mickey says, yep, you shouldn't be out if you can't buy your own drink. Okay. I ain't gonna go. If I can't buy my own drink, I ain't going nowhere. I'm not going out. Okay. So, well, I wouldn't have to do that. I wouldn't accept the drink from, anybody anyway, because I got a hubby. But I either gonna get some money from him if I ain't got no money, or I'm gonna have my own money to buy drinks. But with this younger generation, you have to make sure you tell them, don't leave your drink unattended. Don't accept random drinks. Okay. Nicole says, very important information for all ages. Yes, 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 yes. Some of us at our age don't know that. Okay. Okay, number four. As it relates to friendships, be self-aware. Okay. Be self-aware. And what I mean by that, in friendship, sometimes we just have to check ourselves. Okay. To ensure that we are being the very best friend that we can be to our friends. And I could say so much about that, but just be self-aware. Sometimes we don't have good days, sometimes we have bad days. Um, but be self-aware, because sometimes we talk about, and I'm just going to be honest and say it, but sometimes we talk about the red flags in other people. Sometimes you're emoting red flags yourself. And it's all, sometimes it's subconscious. Sometimes we project what we're going through and what we're feeling onto our friendships, and so we have to be careful in that. We have to always be conscious and make sure, and that's a hard thing. Okay. It's easy for us to look in the mirror and put on our lipstick, ladies. It's harder for us to look in the mirror and check ourselves. And sometimes we have to check ourselves as it relates to our own friendship. If we're being the best friend that we can be, are we projecting because I had a bad day at work, or because I've been through a bad relationship, or because I'm not feeling my best, and I haven't been feeling my best, or I'm going through a depression, or I'm going through a down moment, or whatever the case may be. Sometimes it's us when it relates to friendships. Okay. So it's just important to be just as self-aware. It's not always them, sometimes it's us. Okay. So be self-aware. Mickey says self-awareness is can be difficult, but it's necessary. It is. Sometimes we got to check ourselves. Sometimes we got to check our reflection in the mirror, and sometimes we have to do that when it comes to friendships. And it is okay. It's hard. It's really harder when we get older. It's okay to say, girl, I didn't get that right. I didn't say that right. I didn't do that right. I didn't think that right. I'm sorry. It's okay to say I'm sorry. That's a very human thing. It's a very necessary thing sometime. And it is a thing of humility, and we know that God honors humility. So it's okay to be humble and say, I didn't do that right. I didn't maneuver that right. I didn't behave right. But it's hard. Yeah. Nicole says, absolutely been there, done that, and certainly had to check myself. Yes, check yourself. Check yourself sometimes. Okay. Okay. Number 5. Again, this is rules every Black woman should live by when it comes to friendships. So number 5, and we're halfway through. Friendship is mutual. Okay. Friendship is mutual. So as we have to check ourselves, sometimes we have to know that as much as they're our friend, we are their friend, and it ain't always about you. Okay. We have celebrated you. We done went to, your big event, your party to celebrate you, your promotion, your completing your degree, you having a baby. We've done that all for you. And you have to know that you have to return that. Friendship is mutual. Denise says there's no one-sided friendship. Right. So friendship is a mutual thing. And so one thing that I appreciate about the circle of women that I'm around, some of them are in the chat, some of them my girlfriends, my day ones. But one thing that I can always appreciate, if something comes up where it's time to celebrate, birthday, somebody's child and graduated, all of those things, we make those opportunities to celebrate one another, and you got to celebrate one another. So it ain't always about you. Okay. Okay, number 6. Let's move on to number 6. So even in friendship, okay, there are areas that you have to steer away from. So steer clear of the forbidden zones. Okay. What do I mean by that? Even in friendships, we got to stay away from, we may be closely connected. We know all about them. We grew up together. We've been around each other forever. Our kids and grew up with one another. We're starting to see our friends have grandbabies. We catch a vibe. We like being around each other. We like kicking it. We like hanging it. You got to even still have boundaries in friendships. Okay. So there are times that you have to steer clear of the forbidden zones. And when I say forbidden zones, that means their relationships, their marriages, their family issues. We can't always insert our opinion or force our opinion or our thoughts, or give our perspective on some matters that happen in our friends' lives. Okay. And I think that's important because sometimes we forget that we're the friend, we're not the man, or we see things that we don't like seeing in our friends. We don't, you have to be honest sometimes, but sometimes there's some forbidden zones. You got to allow friends to work out their own matters. You got to respect their privacy. If they get ghosts sometime, that doesn't always necessarily mean it's about you or it's a slight against you. Sometimes they just need privacy. Sometimes they just got to go off into their own zone. They got to dissect for themselves. They got to get away from the crowd for a little while, whatever the case may be. And we shouldn't always be offended by that. Okay, so sometimes we gotta steer clear of even the forbidden zones. What y'all feel about that? I don't know. Y'all got thoughts on that? Any thoughts on less? Um, Nicole says, unless asked. Some advice shouldn't be given. Just be that listening ear. Okay. I'll be a first to admit I am a person that likes to resolve. I like to help people. I have a heart for people. I am the kind of person, now the new term for it is empath, but I'm the kind of person is your problem becomes my problem. And I want to help you because of my heart. I want to help you resolve your issues. I want to get you on the other side. I want to see you healed. All of those things. But even in friendship, sometimes you can't be that person. Okay. Or you have to be careful that it doesn't come off as you always inserting yourself or always giving your advice or always giving your thoughts. Sometimes you just gotta, as Nicole said, you just gotta be that listening ear. And sometimes you gotta steer clear of the forbidden zones. Okay. Okay. Rules every Black woman should abide by when it comes to friendship. So this next one, this one I like, ladies. Again, these are just my thoughts, just my opinion. Some of them relate to the Shanquilla story. Some are just rules that I think that we should live by, just my opinion. Some of them are girl code rules. Darian says not codependent. Don't be codependent. Yeah, you definitely can't be codependent on your friends. You gotta let your friends have space, even though you know y'all best buds. They still need space. But um, so this next one, number 7, is learn to protect yourself. Listen, I am an advocate, ladies. Let me just take a sip on this. Of doing what you need to do to protect yourself. Imagine if Shanquilla, if she was in her right mind, she knew Taibo or Taekwondo or something, she could have fucked them up while they was trying to, you know, give these death blows. Her father said that she wasn't a fighter, that wasn't in her nature, but we just live in a day and a time that I think for us as women, we got to learn to protect ourselves, whether that's learning how to shoot, going to the gun range, taking self-defense classes, and being conscious of your surroundings. Okay. Again, there's a lot happening. Sex trafficking is at an all-time high. Look, sex trafficking and trafficking folks, the sex trade is, if I dare say, is comparable to, or in a lot of cases has replaced the drug trade. Okay. Because it's lucrative. It's a lucrative business. Not only that, this kind of gets into some other matters. People may think of it as a conspiracy, but it's also real. Harvesting organs and things like that. You just have to really be careful. Tiara says, yes, so important. Be proactive and be alert. Okay. Especially if you are a single woman, you live by yourself, it's just you and the kids, whatever the case may be. But learn how to shoot. With the laws changing and loosening up, and everybody's walking around with a gun, people are walking into places and just killing folks at will. I just think it's important for us as ladies as well to know how to protect ourselves. So do what you got to do to protect yourself. Always be alert. Always be on guard, because the devil is busy. Okay. Okay. So learn to protect yourself. Number 8, actually I got 11. So I got three more rules that every Black woman should live by or know as it relates to friendships. Again, some of them relate to the Shanquilla story. Some of them are just rules that I have learned over time. Adjust to the change in the friendship dynamic. Okay. Just because y'all been friends for 20, 25 years does not mean that there will not come a season. It almost relates to, steering clear of the forbidden zone. It kind of relates to that. But just because you've been friends for 20, 25 years, 30 years, however long, doesn't mean that there won't come a time where you have to adjust, or that one friend or the other experiences a seasonal change. And as a friend, you have to adjust to that. Okay. And know that friendships will change. Friendships will not always be the same that they looked 10 years ago, 15 years ago, what have you. But it's okay. And it does not necessarily mean that it needs to be the end of the friendship. It just means the dynamics of the friendship may have changed. Seasons change. At this age, at this point in our lives, we have families or businesses, or we have demanding careers. We just have things that happen that just change, and that just causes us to change with the season. And that may mean that a certain friendship or friendships just won't be the priority as they once were. But that doesn't mean that the friendship has to end. Listen, I love friendships where, and I even have some of these friendships of my own, we don't have to talk every day. Okay. We may only talk once a month, once every 3 months, or however long, but the love is still the same. We talk like we just talked last week or yesterday. And you just have to learn to adjust. It's not always about you, it's not always personal. Nicole said that's a hard pill to swallow as it pertains to change, but definitely learned this lesson. Yeah, yeah. Sometimes change happens, and that means the dynamic of the friendship will change. Mickey says we change daily, and sometimes we outgrow certain friendship dynamics as our seasons change. Absolutely, absolutely. We outgrow friendships. I've outgrown friendships. Yeah, I've outgrown friendships. Um, and I think that the true test of a friendship is whether or not we take that seasonal change and we declare it no longer a friendship or get ghosts or we get mad, or we just allow that. We understand that dynamics change, seasons change, and it's okay. It's kind of like, I'll get back at you, girl, or we'll have our moment. And then some friendships dynamic change, and they're just never the same, and that's okay too. It doesn't always necessarily have to be a moment of contention or vitriol, or y'all giving each other the side eye, or you going back and having something to say about it. She ain't my friend, I ain't talked to her. It doesn't have to be that all the time. Okay. Friendship dynamics change, and we just have to allow the change to happen. Okay. So that was number 8. This is a good one. This next one is a good one. One that I definitely abide by, and take very seriously. But number 9, when one wins, we all win. All too often, I think that friendships, especially when it relates to women and us as Black women, people who are not pure and authentic, the spirit of competition, envy, jealousy, and all that can come into play. But when it's true friendship, you understand that when we win, we all win. When you look good, we all look good. When you on top, we all on top. And people will be at friends when you have a group of friends. You will all be at different seasons of your life, and that's okay too. Okay. I have watched friends in the past make major moves in their careers, get married, have kids. And I have watched all of that. And meanwhile, I was just, living my single life before I got married, just living my single life, and dating here and there, doing what I do, just trying to, live my best life. But sometimes you're gonna watch your friends enter into a different season of life. Um, but just know that when you win, we all win, and you have to have that spirit if it's true friendship. Okay. And you don't allow the competition and the envy, um, and all of that to enter the friendship. That is probably one of the first thing, the worst things that can kill friendships. Okay. Mickey says celebrate each other privately and publicly. We all win together. Leave the competition out of it, and we all win. Yes, listen, I have said this before, and I'll say it here. I don't care if it sounds ghetto, hood, or whatever. I want all the bitches around me bad, because if we all bad together, then we're just a bunch of bad bitches running together. Bad bitches running pack. But when it's true friendship, and you're genuine, one wins, you all win. And you have to celebrate one another, and lift one another up. So Nicole says true friendship is key. That's the caveat. That's the caveat. True friendship. Okay. And it makes me think back. This definitely relates to the Shanquilla story, but obviously she was surrounded by a bunch of people who were not happy that she was winning. There was this spirit of competition and jealousy and envy, to the point where, you know, her life was lost due to whatever hostilities were brewing in the air. And I just think it's just sad. And it just wasn't a true spirit of friendship. So why the media continues to call them her friends, I don't know. To me, I think they were frenemies. But again, we don't know the whole story. I'm sure, things will come out more about the story, and we'll learn more about the story. Okay, so that was number 9. We went with this next one. And I say this is a personal philosophy that I live by, that I think would benefit others. And it's because I hear too many times, even with this Shanquilla story, okay, I can't tell you how much commentary I have read, and it makes me sad, especially from women who speak negatively towards other females and female friendships. So you often hear it said, that's why I don't have no female friends. That's why I ain't got too many female friends. That's why I don't hang with females. That's why Listen, ladies, if you've ever found that you have said that, or people who have said that, 9 times out of 10, that person doesn't have friends. They don't understand that true friendship is a blessing. But even more than that, 9 times out of 10, that person isn't self aware. 9 times out of 10, they are the common denominator as to the reason why they don't have true friendships. Stop saying if you're a female, you're a Black woman, stop saying that's why you don't hang around other females. Check yourself. Be self-aware. Sometimes it's you, sis. Sometimes you're not a good friend. That's why you can't cultivate and nurture friendships. And I'm not saying that to be harsh. I'm just telling you how it is, that maybe it's you. Because true friendship is a blessing. When you are a woman, especially as Black women, it is important that we cultivate relationships with one another. We are important, okay? Listen, I love my husband to death. He is my best friend. I would tell anybody that all day, all day. We vibe, we kick it like buddies, whatever. But I also need my girls. I also need friendships with my girls, not to go so that I can go and gossip about everything that's happening in my marriage or what's going on at home. That's not the purpose that they serve. But for me, it's just having that circle of friendship, where it's love like mine, um, um, just being able to let my hair down with. 9 to 5, I'm button up all day. I'm Nia all day. I need the circle of friendships where I can just be Nikki, or I can just be Nikki from Fifth, or I can just let my hair down and there's no judgment, and there's no gossip and there's no backbiting, there's no talking behind your back, all of that. And so if you can find those kind of women to be around, or when you find yourself around those kind of women, or you have those kinds of friendship, just know that it's a blessing. It's rare, but it's a blessing. And so, for that, I feel blessed. Mickey says it's such a blessing to have true friendships. They cover you, bless you, and help you grow as a woman. And we should be helping each other grow, right? We should be helping each other grow, which is kind of like one of my final thoughts, number 11. But we should be helping each other grow as friends. So Nicole says many have dealt with pain from friendships and haven't healed properly to understand those just weren't the right friends, and all friendships aren't bad friendships. Exactly. Yeah. 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 Listen, friendship hurt is real. I know it for myself, more than once. And it can be a very painful experience, especially when you have been friends with people for a very long time. It can be a very painful experience. But you definitely have to to heal properly. You have to know that one bad experience doesn't mean that all women, all females that enter your cipher, into your circle, will be the same. And listen, you ain't got to have a whole brigade, a busload of friends. Listen, I'm not advocating that. If you just got one good friend, two good friends, then that's okay too. It just realizing however many friends that you have, however, whether your circle is big, small, because sometimes, as we get a little older, your friendships, you don't call everybody friend anymore as you get a little older. Sometimes the amount of friends you have will trail off. You won't have as many close ones. Again, dynamics and friendships will change. All of that happens as we get a little older. But if you got somebody that you can count on, you can depend on, and that you call a friend, just know that they are a blessing. And yes, friendship hurt is real. And if you've experienced friendship hurt, you definitely got to heal from that. Nicole also says there are some that pretend well, but there are many that really want you to grow and be well. Yeah, some pretend well. That's where the discernment comes in, right? That red flag. So listen, anybody that I have, I'm no longer friends with, or no longer connected to in that way, or I've decided to no longer have that friendship with them, there has never been a case where there wasn't a red flag at some point, or there wasn't some point through the period of the friendship where I didn't pick up on something that made me think, that wasn't right. Yeah. Like I said in the beginning, I may have denied it, or I was blinded by it, or decided not to address it, or just didn't want to believe it. But um, you know, some pretend well, but you will always get those red flags. It's like a bad relationship sometimes, right? So we often, women, get connected to some men and they say, he pretended well and I didn't know, and he put on a good front. There's always red flags. Okay. And again, if you don't have discernment, pray for that discernment and watch God give it to you. Okay. Okay. So the flip side of that, though, is that some pretend well, but there are many that really want you to grow and be blessed. Absolutely. And so not all females are bad. Um, their friendships are possible with other women, you know. And if that's not possible, you got to ask why. Why so? Are you good at friendship? Okay. So my final one, y'all, and I've been talking a while. So this is my final one. Again, rules that every Black woman should live by when it comes to friendship. And this is a good one. Sometimes we don't like it. Listen, I'll be the first to say that can't nobody tell me nothing. Sometimes it's hard for me. Again, you got to be self-aware. You got to be able to look in the mirror. That's a sign of growth when you can look yourself and remember and say, you know what? I got some stuff that I got to work on and work out. But true friendship holds one another accountable. Okay. And it's okay. It's okay, especially if our friends are doing it in a spirit of love. There are some women in my life that they're the only ones that can say anything to me. They're the only ones that be like, Nikki, shut up, or Nikki, you shouldn't have said that, or whatever the case. But I know that they're doing it in a spirit of love, and it's not vindictive or vicious, or it's not full of shade, or whatever the case may be. But you need some friends that hold you accountable and can tell you about yourself. Sometimes you need to be told about yourself. Um, what y'all think? Anywho, those are my rules. 11 rules. I said 10, but I had 11. That all Black women should adhere to as it relates to friendship. It's just called true friendship. Right, exactly. True friendship. Listen, again, I thought about these rules because I was very touched by, again, the Shanquilla Robinson case, young lady that was murdered in Mexico, Cabo, Mexico. And it just sparked so much in me thinking about this younger generation and how sometimes they're not aware of the girl code, especially young women, and protecting one another as friends, and how different this story should have been if Shanquilla was there with people that really cared about her, that were true friends. Um, and it even made me think that this younger generation, they really need so much prayer, um, but also that we should be the ones that sh- are sharing this wisdom with them, and sharing what we know and what we know to be true about friendships and things like that. If Shanquilla had been aware, and this is not victim blaming or victim shaming, but just how different the story could have been if she would have paid attention to the red flags, um, or if they were just her true friends. So the funeral has happened. I think the funeral was last week at some point. Um, and it's again a sad story. I pray that the mother and the father, the family of Shanquilla, they get the justice that they deserve, that they get the answers that they're looking for, and that the young people, um, who are responsible for her death, because again, we mentioned this earlier, all of them are responsible, all of them knew something, whether they laid a hand on her or not. There's no way that all six of them should have hopped a plane and left that woman's body there. Um, they need to be held responsible. And so, yes, we need to pray for our younger generation. They have so much that is against them. I hate to sound like the old auntie or somebody's mama, but the devil again is busy, and so they just need to be covered in our prayers. As much as we need to understand them, we need to teach them, we need to observe them. We definitely need to pray for them because they got a lot that's coming against them. So that's all the rules that I have. Um, so listen, yes, share with your daughters over and over. Um, yeah, they aren't always willing to listen until trouble hits. Sometimes they got to go through their own experience, life experiences before they learn a little wisdom. But when you can, just keep sharing. Um, at some point, something that you said, something that you shared, will hit home for them. At 40 plus, there are times that I look back even now, like, oh, my mama was right. Oh, my grandma was right. And so there will come a time that they will appreciate what you said, the wisdom that you shared. So again, we just got to keep them covered, and keep putting them up on game. Okay. All right, so those are all the rules that I have. I think they're very important. Listen, I want to continue the conversation about the girl code. Tonight, we didn't have any special guests. When I come before you again, we will have special guests. I want to talk about the girl code and the rules for embracing your midlife season. Really, I'm not trying to say that we old, because listen, I still got a lot of youthfulness in me. I still got a lot of energy, and things like that. But sometimes we gotta embrace that. Again, we're from Generation X. We're from a generation, the forgotten generation. We're in our 40s, 50s, approaching 50, whatever, the hip hop era, generation, all that. We got to accept that we're not as young as we once were. And so I want to talk about the girl code and rules for us as Black women as we are approaching, entering, just right there, peeking in the window of what we consider the midlife season. So um, I'll tell you why this conversation came about, and I'll tell you about that next time. Um, but it was a conversation that I had, and they was like, you know what, that would be, something to talk about. Often when we hear the term midlife crisis, we think that's only for men when they go out and, they start dressing different. They go buy them a car, a fancy car, sports car. They start trying to date younger women. Sometimes we think that's only for men and men only go through that. So I'm going to talk about the girl code, the rules for embracing your midlife season next time I come before you on High Heels and Lipstick Conversation. So I need you to stay tuned. I need you to like the page. I need you to share if I said something good on tonight. Share with your friends. Tell them to check in with me. Tap into She Is Namia. She be talking about some good shit. She has some good conversation. What have you? Just to help a sister out. Follow me on all my social media platforms. I'm looking to improve and enhance as going into the new year. I'm still going to take my periods of rest because I just think that's important for me right now. I don't know that I'm interested in necessarily going viral or having this big platform. I want people here to be here that want to be here, that are interested in the dialogues that we have on High Heels and Lipstick Conversation. And if it goes viral, so be it. If I build an audience, so be it. And if I don't, that's all love too. For me, this is just, what I think some of the things that I discuss and we talk about, or what we will talk about on High Heels and Lipstick Conversation, are just certain passions of mine. And I just think, they're important and relevant to us as women, as Black women. And so, I'm going to continue to share. So if you know someone who may like these conversations, I need you just to share, like the page and share. So listen, I just want to end the conversation there. I want to end with a final thought of the night. When I first came before you, I told you I hadn't been before you for a while because I was experiencing nothing major, but some minor health issues where I just felt like God was just telling me, look, you need to take a step back. You have a lot of demands on you and you're putting extra demands. And so sometimes you got to take a step back and rest. And so my final thought for tonight is that it is fallback season. Thank you, Mickey. Mickey says great topics and looking forward to more dialogue in the future. Thank you, sis. I always appreciate your support. But it is fallback season. And some of you may agree, not just because it's fall weather-wise, and this is the season, but sometimes we just got to understand that we are entering, approaching, or need to go into fallback season. And what I mean by that is that we got to fall back from stress. We got to fall back from drama. We got to fall back from overdoing it and maxing ourselves thin, overwhelming ourselves with a bunch of stuff. We got to fall back from friendships we talked about today. We got to fall back and put things in their proper perspective. We got to fall back and prioritize sometimes. We got to fall back from social media sometimes. We got to fall back. It is fall back season. And falling back doesn't always necessarily mean a bad thing. And if we think of it in an analogy of this being the fall time, things are starting to die out, right? So when you fall back and you go into a fallback season, there should be a purpose for falling back. That means you're letting go of some stuff. You're preserving your body. You're preserving your energy. You're prioritizing where your energy should go. So you have to take things off of your plate. You're falling back from drama. That means you're getting rid of drama. Anything that God is calling you to do in your fallback season. And again, thinking of it in the analogy of the fall, things start to die out. The winter, things are completely dead. But in the spring, things start to grow again. Life happens again. Flowers start to bloom. The grass get greener. The trees start to fill in. But what would happen if we didn't have that season of falling back, or even those winter months where we hibernated, where we didn't have a lot going on? You wouldn't see the growth that happens in your springtime. So maybe it's just time to fall back. Now, I know I'm preaching to the choir. I'm preaching to myself if I ain't preaching to nobody else, because I feel that is the season for me. But sometimes you just gotta take that perspective and fall back. Enter into a fall back season. Sis, get you some rest. Yes, sis. Cheryl says, yes, sis. Take you a rest. Take some stuff off of your plate. Get your mind right. Get your focus on. Focus on that project that you've been putting off on hold. Fall back from the public sometimes. You can't always go to every shindig or party or be at everybody's event. Sometimes you truly have to go through a season where you fall back. But just know that the fallback season serves a purpose. Okay? So learn to fall back sometime. Listen, I appreciate y'all for checking in on tonight. Again, share and like. Until I am before y'all again with another edition, another episode of High Heels and Lipstick Conversation. Continue the conversation. If I have said something, a thought, or perspective that you think is interesting, continue that conversation in the chat. Again, I appreciate you, and smooches. I'll see y'all next time. All right? All right. Thank you for joining She is Namia tonight for another edition of High Heels and Lipstick Conversations. We hope you have enjoyed the dialogue. If you like what you've heard tonight, please press the like or love button. The share button is free too, y'all. You can follow She is Namia on all social media platforms. And if you are feeling generous and would like to support High Heels and Lipstick Conversations, hit a sister up on her Cash App. $ She is Namia. I appreciate the love, y'all. Please know the views and opinions expressed tonight are those of She is Namia alone and do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of any entity she represents. Also, music was provided by Uppbeat creators at Uppbeat.io. Smooches. Until next time, y'all.